Jennifer is. Allison, that was awesome. Thank you. For all of you. This is called stage business. You just keep messing around with stuff. It works. You know, Jesus was a Jew. You might not know that, but it's the truth. Right, Irv? We know that. So I want to read to you scripture this morning from the Old Testament, also known as the Hebrew Bible. And I'm starting with Psalm 81. Because the truth is, the Psalms, everybody memorized the Psalms. They sang them to each other. They did them in their worship services, but they knew them from the time that they were teeny, tiny boys and girls. So listen to this. This is chapter 81. I'm reading from verse 3. No, I'm sorry. I'm reading from chapter 82. Verse 3, give justice to the poor and the orphan. Uphold the rights of the oppressed and the destitute. Rescue the poor and the helpless. Deliver them from the grasp of evil people. Do you need me to read that for you again? Give justice to the poor and the orphan. Uphold the rights of the oppressed and the destitute. Rescue the poor and the helpless and deliver them from the grasp of the evil people. It's what Jesus came here to show us how to do, because after all of those hundreds and hundreds of years, we just didn't get it. You know what? We still don't get it. So I'm reading now from Micah 6, verse 8. O people, the Lord has told you what is good, and this is what he requires of you: to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. To do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. 3 things that we are asked to do. Mercy is kindness. Just be kind to one another. How good are we at doing that? Many times, not so much. But it doesn't stop Jesus from saying, this is what I'm calling you to do. This is what I'm calling you to do. Because in the final analysis, it makes a difference. And so I read to you again from the Gospel of Matthew. You will recognize this, chapter 25. And the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me. I don't know how you have felt this week, and last week, and the week before, as we continue to find out more and more and more about what's happening at our borders. It's very difficult to imagine on any level, much less the depth of our being, of what it would feel like to be separated from our children. Now, I'm not here to argue or to even lift up the politics of this. What I'm here to say is Imagine what it would be like to be separated from your newborn infant, from your toddler, from your teenager. Imagine what that would be like. And in case you're not a news watcher and you don't pay attention to the newspaper, let me just show you. This happens to be the first section of the Tampa Bay Times today. And if you will look here, where it says in big bold that I don't need my glasses for, the choice they face, arrest or death. Because you know what happens? Do you know what happens in Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador? The gangs are wild and crazy. They kill people just to get initiated into a group. MS-13. Do you know where MS-13 started? Los Angeles. Los Angeles. California. And it spread from there. It spread from there. It started there in the 80s. In the 80s. And continues. There's no wonder that people in Honduras and Guatemala and in El Salvador would rather face arrest coming to the United States illegally, or to be killed, as so many of their family members and friends and loved ones have been killed in the country in which they live. Let me tell you a story. You may not realize this, you may not know this, but Al, many years ago, was in Guatemala doing a documentary on children of the garbage dump. Children, desperately poor families who lived in the garbage dump. One little girl, 8 years old, came up to him, tugged on his pants leg, and asked him in Spanish as he responded, "What do the marks on the paper mean?" An 8-year-old little girl, never been to school, didn't know how to read, nothing. And he said, "You know, this is not working for me. It's not working for me." Her family also lived in the garbage dump. He talked to the mother and to the father and said, "Let me see what I can do." And for 3 years, the struggle ensued with corrupt government, with fighting for visas, holding hostage, if you will, a little girl, until she was finally able to be adopted by Al and brought to this country. She's 40 years old now. She has 2 beautiful little children. Well, I guess they're not so little anymore. They're like 10 and 13. Scary. Our children, okay? Maylin, our daughter, who's 25, born in China, in an orphanage that held 1,500 little girls. It took a year to go through the legal process to get her home with us. We were in country for 2 weeks. It went pretty smoothly for the most part, but we always knew that things could change at any time. When Maylin was 5 and Al was an undetermined age, they moved here to St. Petersburg as I flew to Vietnam to get our son. Now, when the choice comes, would you rather be, because Maylin was just 5, she was too young to go to Vietnam because it's dangerous over there. So this is his choice of, do you want to stay home and pack out your house, or do you want to go get your baby? Wow, that wasn't much of a choice. I went to Vietnam. I could handle it. My fear was that if I walked in that orphanage, I wouldn't be able to leave with just one baby. What a baby he was. I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. I could not get out of country until 3 weeks. I had gone to the consulate every single day for 3 weeks trying to get a visa to get my baby, our baby, out of Vietnam. Al and Maylin were traveling. I called a good friend of mine who had been in Vietnam 3 times during the war, and I said, what am I supposed to do? And he said, whatever you do, don't offer them a bribe for a visa, because if you do, they're going to put you in prison. They do this because they can. But I got that visa finally, and we came home. And then we had a struggle because we couldn't get his green card here. And it wasn't until Congressman Bill Young intervened on our behalf, and we had that visa within 2 weeks. Why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult? So, the bottom line is I can't do anything about what's going on in our country, what's going on in the borders. And when I say I can't do anything, I am short-sighting God, because what I know how to do is to pray. To pray. And to do what I can do here to make the world a better place for others. For what we can all do here to make the world a better place for others. And you know what? I am so proud of you all. I am so proud of you, because you step up. You hear God calling you, and you step up and you answer and you say, I can do that. I can do that. You know what Mother Teresa says? We can do no great things. We can do small things with love. Small things with love. So I just want to give you a little reprise of some of the things, not everything that I'm so proud of, because I couldn't find pictures of everything that I'm so proud of. But if we could have the picture, let's have a picture. Yeah, we have a prayer path. Do you know, across the street, that used to be a parking lot. I felt God calling us to have a place for prayer so we could gather and people could come and pray. And do you know that people, I'm telling you, because my office was it still is, but it's not mine, on the corner of the LEC, directly looking out into the prayer path. Nurses from the eye clinic, from David Hall's eye clinic down at the end of the street, come over and sit and pray. They have thanked us for providing a place where they could sit and be still with God and collect themselves for the day as they continued to work with people to help make their vision better. You see this picture? These are Angie's kids, Kids on Mission. These are our children's ministry kids. You will see a Kids on Mission t-shirt on one of the little boys. Angie took them out there. They have a mission opportunity once a month for the kids as well as for the family members, okay? Because if you're going to want to know how to volunteer in mission as a little kid, you need your parent or parents to be doing that with you as the role model for it. And so she took the kids out. And she walked them around because their mission for the day was to weed all of the plants around the prayer path. She took them out and she walked them through the prayer path, through the turns, through the opportunities, a part where if you're walking the prayer path, what you're thinking is that as you're going in, it's an opportunity to think through, do you have a question? Do you have a problem? Something that needs to be solved, God? Here, I'm laying it out for you. And as they continued to walk and got to the center, she said, this is the God place where you sit, or where you stand, or where you kneel, and where you remind yourself to be quiet, to be still, and to listen to what God has to say to you. And then as you leave the center part and you go out, that's the part where you're leaving to go out into new beginnings, into a new way. After they finished weeding, Angie turned around and noticed that the children were in the center. This is spontaneous. The children were in the center praying. What a gift. What a gift. I see people, we made the circuits wide enough so people could walk with strollers, with walkers, do it in wheelchairs. I've seen them all out there. People walking their dog through there and back. Don't let yourself miss out on the opportunity of taking quiet time with God, to go, to sit, to pray. Those are kids on mission. Well, what about our middle schoolers and our high schoolers on mission? You know, our high schoolers have just been back now 2 weeks. They got in, I'm saying that they got in too late, one, to come to church last Sunday. But here they are. They're in Copper Hill, Tennessee, in a very poor place. In a very poor place. And they're doing what they can to help. They're roofing the house. Look at this, of all they're doing. This is a retired couple who have a son who has extreme physical limitations. They worked on the roof. It's hot in Tennessee this time of year. They worked on the roof. They did all kinds of things. They worked on the porch. Do you know what they did at the end? They actually got a bench kit. They noticed that the benches on the porch were in such bad shape, and the family didn't have time or the ability to come out and just sit and relax. So they put together a bench, a big bench, as a gift for the family. Wow. Don't you know that was a gift for the family, but also a gift for every single kid who worked on that? It doesn't get better than that, does it? It doesn't. How about this? Costa Rica mission trip. Taking blood pressures. Doing eye exams. Checking people out to see how healthy they are, or to make referrals, to tell them that they needed to go someplace and get help. What a gift. This is the last mission trip that went. Look at that. Look at that. People from our church saying, sure, I can give time. I've got time. I can go and do this. I'll use my vacation time from work. I'll be there. You can count on me. Middle schoolers getting ready to go on their mission trip in 2 weeks. They'll be going to Jacksonville, and they'll be doing the same kind of things as our adults do, as the youth do. These are opportunities that you give yourselves, and you give the children and the youth, and opportunities to grow, to give, and to learn from others about what it means to live with less than. It's a good thing. So what else do we have? Pack-a-sack. We've been doing pack-a-sack for a number of years. I'm going to come down here and get some water. I'm really not going to make it. Pack-a-Sack. We are packing out healthy snacks for children over the weekends, both at Gulfport Elementary as well as at Perkins Elementary. 180 children receive healthy snacks for weekends every week that school is in. What a gift. We've got 4 teams of people who come and pack, a different team each week. They've been doing it for years. Their hearts are in it. And they do that through the United Methodist Cooperative Ministries. What about hurricane relief? Have you noticed last summer, we filled 92 flood buckets. 92 flood buckets, very prescribed things going into the flood buckets, but 92 of those, which we delivered in personal trucks to Anona United Methodist Church in Largo. We delivered to Fishhawk and Lithia. We delivered to Naples food, clothing, all kinds of things, flood buckets to clean their houses out, because these people who desperately needed that kind of help. Do you know that we had 2 people who put together blankets? This is Mike Campbell and Hazel Creveling, putting together quilting little flannel baby blankets for children who have much need in the Houston area, all at the same time. Wow, what a gift. And then we've got Adopt a Block. Look at this. This is South St. Petersburg. These are people who need help instead of criticism. Well, the least they could do is clean up their yards. Well, okay, but if you're working three jobs or 2, that may not be on your list of things to do. We have a team from church once a month. They go to help with Adopt a Block. We've got another group that goes 2 Saturdays a month to help deliver food to people who are in need. These are your hearts and your souls and your spirits and your hands and your feet that are reaching out. And they're not always just done by people from Pasadena Community Church, because this is an opportunity also to meet other people from different churches, from different organizations, to work together. God says, there's no such thing as a solitary Christian. We work in conjunction with others. And isn't that a blessing? Isn't that a good idea? We don't have to invent this stuff all by ourselves. We join with others to do it. We have ESOL classes. Okay, let's help teach the people who come to this country for whom English is not a first language. Let's help them be able to succeed here and to be able to get a good job. Wouldn't that be nice? Pinellas Hope. The people who live on the streets are given the opportunity to have housing, whether it's tents. You remember going through what was called Tent City, slashing the tents? You remember that if you've been here that long. Catholic Charities, an opportunity to be able to provide people with a safe living space, to provide people with the opportunity to do what they can. A hot meal. Wow. These are pictures of when the staff and friends went to serve. What an awesome opportunity. I like to be at the cookie table, because that was everybody's happy at the cookie table. But these are people who really love the opportunity to have a good, hot, home-cooked, actually church-cooked meal. They're volunteers who come and actually prep the food 8 to 10 volunteers come and prep the food. And then again, like 12 to 14 go, take it to Pinellas Hope and serve it. It's such a gift to hand a plate to somebody and to ask them, would you like more mac and cheese? Or in my case, would you like 2 cookies this time? Wow. Doing what we can. Doing what's right. Loving mercy and kindness. And walking humbly with our God. Because when you do any of this, you can't be too proud. Meaning, you recognize that there are so many people who have less than you do, than I do, than we do. People who are in need of a hug, a handshake, a hot meal, an orange plastic bucket that says, we can do this, filled with cleaning supplies. To have somebody come and put a little paint on your house, or to help you make minor repairs that you're not able to do by yourself. Wheelchair rep ministry. People who are trapped in their houses and are unable to get out until they get a wheelchair ramp. I could go on and on and on and on about what we have accomplished together, what we have learned to do that we didn't know how to do before, and how I've watched each one of you open your heart to another person. Whether it's in here when I laughingly tell you that it's raining outside and I need you to get up from where you are when you shake hands and move forward. Actually, there's some people who do that. You are blessed to be a blessing to others. And I am blessed to have had the opportunity to be with you, to walk beside you, and to share God's work. And I thank you. Would you pray with me, please? Gracious Lord, I just thank you for this congregation, for those who are here, for those who are not here. Lord, I thank you for them allowing me so graciously to be their minister. Hold their hearts, Lord. Hold their hands and help them to know how much you love them and how proud you are of them, so that when they close their eyes and they quiet down, they can hear you say, you are my son or daughter with whom I am well pleased. Thank you, Lord. Amen.